we are going to do a bit of research to dive into what you guys know I believe is maybe the most important X factor in this game. It's not Derek White. It's not Duncan Robinson. It's not a player on the floor. It's not a coach on the sidelines. It's not a fan in the stands. It's the zebras with the stripes. So, as we have been throughout the playoffs, we go to the NBA website and we look at who are the referees for this game. Now, what's interesting about this, I'm not just looking at who the chief referee is. I'm also looking at who the ref is, who the umpire is. This is an all-hands-on-deck, all-star crew for this game tonight, and I expect these are three big personalities within the NBA. If it comes on when it comes to referees, these guys are going to play a factor. So that said, Scott Foster, Tony Brothers, John Goble, these are the names you need to know today because they are the ones who will be determining the fate of the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics. Like we do every NBA game, we now go to basketballreference.com and we look at how the teams have done with these referees. And let me just say right now, this information is going to blow your hair back. For all of those who are watching, no matter the platform, make sure you're paying attention. I'm about to drop an X Factor on you for Miami Heat, Boston Celtics right now. Let's start with the crew chief. The crew chief is Scott Foster. Scott Foster, we talk about his name quite a bit, don't we? Scott Foster is someone who inserts himself. If you ask Chris Paul, Scott Foster certainly has his favorites, Chris Paul not being one of them. And now I'm on the basketball reference page for the Boston Celtics. So I'm looking at the Boston Celtics so far this year. In games refereed by Scott Foster, 3 games, the Celtics are 2-1. Okay, you may go, that's not a big sample size. That's not something to get overly excited about. Well, hold on. Let's go to the Miami Heat side. What do we see on the Miami Heat side? When the Miami Heat have Scott Foster as a referee, the Heat are 0-5. Let me say that one more time in case you missed that. The Miami Heat have had 5 games this year in which Scott Foster's been the referee. The Miami Heat are 0-5 with a negative 13.2 point differential. You guys may go, oh, that's just the ref. He doesn't matter. He doesn't play a role. Of all the sports, in the major 4 sports in which the umpire, referee, has the most influence, can have the most say on a game, basketball in the NBA, I believe, is number 1. So this stat, this little tidbit, do not ignore this. The referee, the crew chief for tonight's game is Scott Foster. The Celtics are 2-1 in his games. You may go small sample size. But the Miami Heat are 0-5 with a negative 13.2 point differential. Don't overlook that. That is a big indicator. But we're not going just there. Also on the referee sheet tonight is Tony Brothers. Tony Brothers is another referee for tonight. Let's look at him. If I go to the Boston Celtics and I look at Tony Brothers, 5-1. The Celtics are 5-1. So combined, their record with Foster and or Brothers as a referee, the Celtics are 7-2 with those 2 referees. 7-2. That is incredibly high. Let's go to the other side. How are the Miami Heat doing? With Tony Brothers on the whistle? 0-5. Are you kidding me? If anybody thinks that the fingers aren't on the scale right now, I got a bridge to sell you. Are you kidding me? So Scott Foster's the crew chief. Tony Brothers is another referee. Combined, the Miami Heat, when Foster or Brothers is a referee, they're 0-10. They're 0-10. I can't pound the table enough. I can't reach through the screen enough. These are tidbits you gotta hold on to today. So once again, if Tony Brothers or Scott Foster is referee, the Celtics are 7-2. Okay. When the Miami Heat have these 2 referees, they're 0-10. If you want to look for indicators, obviously we don't know how Jason Tatum's going to shoot. We don't know how Jimmy Butler's going to shoot. We don't know how Eric Spoelstra is going to call his timeouts. We don't know if Joe Mazzulla is ready for the moment. But one thing we do know is referees in the NBA, they have a track record. That track record is usually good. We talked about Zach Zarba before Game 6. The Celtics are undefeated with Zach Zarba. They won the game. And by the way, by 1 point. You don't think referees made a difference in that game? In a 1-point game, you don't think the referees had a huge impact on who got a foul, who was going to the line, was it a shooting foul? Referees matter. Referees matter. And when you see a stat that says Scott Foster and Tony Brothers for the Miami Heat, a combined 0-10, I know you guys may not like the conspiracy theory on referees as much as I do, but you can't turn a blind eye to this. If there's one indicator that makes me feel good about the Boston Celtics on the money line, it's not that they've won 3 straight. It's not that they stole a win in Miami in Game 6. It has nothing to do with them being on their home floor. But referees matter. So for all of those watching the show who just jumped in, we're looking at the referees for tonight's game, and the 3 referees are Scott Foster, Tony Brothers, John Goble. Foster and Brothers. Again, one more time, the statistic, we just looked it up using basketballreference.com. The Celtics are 2-1 this season with Scott Foster. The Miami Heat are 0-5. Tony Brothers this season. The Celtics are 5-1. The Miami Heat are 0-5. I can bang the pots and pans. I can sound the alarm. There's absolutely nothing I can do than say, please, pay attention to this information. This is an indicator. Now, with that said, I do believe the Miami Heat are going to cover tonight. So I know I just went through everything with the referees. That's about the money line. But when it comes to the spread, I'm still going to take the Heat. I'm still taking the Heat. Now, the referees on the money line and the spread, 2 separate things. For me, the spread is more about the players. I do not think that the Boston Celtics are a step-on-your-throat kind of team. I know they've had some big blowout wins, but for the most part, at home, this is a team that does not dominate at home. They play close games, and as we saw in Game 6, they can give up leads. So I am going to take the Miami Heat to cover. I'm going to take the Miami Heat to cover. That's Heat plus 7.5. Miami Heat plus 7.5. Let me make sure that size is big enough for you guys. So Miami Heat plus 7.5. Here we go. I'm going to throw that up on my board. 7.5 is going off at minus 115. Minus 115. However, as I just alluded to, going through our research about the referees, you cannot miss the referees tonight. Miami Heat with Scott Foster as a referee or Tony Brothers, the crew chief and the lead referee tonight. The Miami Heat are 0-10 this year with them. I cannot say it enough. I'll show it back up on the screen so you know I'm speaking truth. Tony Brothers, 0-5 for the Heat. Scott Foster, 0-5 for the Heat. If you like the Miami Heat tonight, take it on the spread. But when it comes to the money line, man, doesn't it feel like the NBA is putting 2 referees on the floor that have a history of giving the Miami Heat a hard time? Feels like it's going to be a Celtics-Nuggets finals. I don't know. I don't know if you believe in conspiracy theories. Maybe you don't believe in the frozen envelope that brought Patrick Ewing to the New York Knicks. Maybe you're just shocked that Wemby ended up with the San Antonio Spurs, an organization that got Duncan and Robinson and also has a history with French players. Oh, shocker. But conspiracy theories when it comes to the NBA, I believe more than any other sport. You can try and sell me on the NFL, I think it's much harder. You can try and sell me on the MLB, I think it's much harder. But the NBA, I'm always worried about referees. I'm always worried about the league inserting itself. Because of all the sports out there, the NBA is the one in which I say, shooting foul, 2 points. 2 points at the line, 2 free shots at the line. Foul on this player, you got to go sit. The NBA can insert itself in a number of ways. The referees are a big factor, so make sure you're paying attention. One more time, we just did our research on the conspiracy theory behind the notion that the NBA would love to see the Celtics advance. We look at the 2 lead referees for tonight's game, Scott Foster, Tony Brothers. The Miami Heat are a combined 0-10 in their games. Take that information for what it's worth. It's just statistics, it's analytics, it's just information. But if the Miami Heat were to win tonight, boy, would that break a lot of information, a lot of trends based off of what we just pointed out. that's our first bit of tidbit information for the day. Hope you're having a wonderful Memorial Day. Nothing like a good referee conspiracy theory to get the blood pumping. So excited to get into our show. We've already thrown one pick on the board. But, oh, Deadpool, don't do that. That's not true. I actually looked at, so the last 2-minute report for Game 6 came out. If you look at the replay, the seconds added back to the clock were accurate. Al Horford fouled Jimmy Butler with 3 seconds left. I actually don't believe in that conspiracy theory, in part because I think it's easier for the referees to really influence the game for the first 46 minutes. I actually think the final 2 minutes are very hard for the referees to insert themselves, in part because there are so many replays at this point. At this point, I feel like they go to the replay table every other play. So in the final 2 minutes, I actually feel it's much harder for the referees to have that kind of conspiracy theory impact. The first 46 minutes, oh my God, I think that happens all the time. A quick whistle. You saw it in that Game 6, actually. Perfect example. That first half of the Game 6, they were swallowing the whistle. There was a lot of physical play in the first half of that Game 6 in which the referees just let the action go. And then in the second half, it got much tighter. Whether you're a Celtic fan or a Heat fan, that second half of Game 6 was a much different officiated game. That's where I think the referees can really impact and insert themselves, is in the first 46 minutes of the game. Who has foul trouble? What are we calling a touch foul versus a shooting foul, or all of that? But the referees certainly make an impact. I just shared with you guys just how important I think the referees are tonight. One more time, in case you guys missed it, the Miami Heat are 0-5 in games in which Scott Foster is the referee. He's the crew chief tonight. The Miami Heat are 0-5 when Tony Brothers is referee. He's reffing tonight, a combined 0-10. Meanwhile, same for the Celtics, same 2 referees. The Celtics combined record with either Scott Foster at the whistle or Tony Brothers is 7-2. These kinds of stats, this is why you come to Butt Fumble Sports. You can follow us, you can fade us, but I'm giving you information to hopefully make you smarter, inform your decisions, and hopefully help you cash some tickets. As I mentioned earlier, this is a special show. It's a Memorial Day show. So while we usually are all about helping you get picks and you asking you to hit that live goal, hit the like button and all of that, the big thing I'm asking for today is a big, big request of all of our loyal viewers and all of our loyal followers and supporters. Go help our veterans. Go help our veterans. There are 2 organizations that I'm talking about today that I would love for you guys to donate to. It can be a small amount, but this is where our focus is today. Not on confetti, not on likes, not on anything else. If you can, please support our veterans. There are 2 organizations that I'll be talking about today. Home Base is one of them. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link in the description. Takes you right to the website. Home Base, which is partnered with the Red Sox Foundation, helps veterans who return from the front to try to organize their lives, come back to full strength, both physically, emotionally, and mentally. This is an unbelievable organization. If you want to support Butt Fumble Sports today, if you want to say thank you for the picks we're going to give out, the analysis we're going to give out, we usually like our live goal, we usually like the likes, but today, go help a veteran, go donate just a few dollars. Home Base is a great organization, one we'll be talking about today. The other is one you're probably very familiar with, the Wounded Warrior Project. These are 2 organizations that focus on the people that matter, and that's veterans and their families who need the support. So for all of those who have served, we are so grateful that we're able to live in a country where I can talk about sports and just have fun, and we can gamble and do all those things. But for all of those who want to say thank you for the picks, for the 2 hours of show that we're having today, don't give it to me. Go help the veterans. The Wounded Warrior Project, Home Base, these are 2 organizations that put the right people at the forefront. These aren't organizations that are about bureaucracy, that aren't about special interest. These are about helping veterans. So if you want to make a difference today, if you want to be a great citizen, say thank you. We don't need the confetti today. We need that contribution to Home Base. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. We're going to give out a ton of picks over the course of our show. Already gave out a piece of information. I am going to put it up on the board. Makes me feel a bit nervous to say it, but I am going to take the Celtics on the money line. Given that information that we just gave out about the referees, that stat is just 2 in the Celtics' favor. Celtics are a minus 242. I'm just putting it up on the board because I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to ask, what my pick is for that NBA game. I'm not necessarily saying take the Celtics on the money line with the money. That isn't a great bet. If you're going to do it, parlay it. But I would certainly say the Heat at plus 7.5. That is a bet that I'm very much interested in. Appreciate all the support you guys are showing us. 808 Blaker, great to see you. Also, I know that a lot of you guys are interested in the NFL. We will do an NFL show this week. Tuesday night at 7 p.m., we are going to do an NFL season preview show to help you guys out with all of your future bets. So if you love the NFL, make sure you join us at 7 p.m. on Tuesday. Again, that's tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll go through every NFL game of every week and pick winners and losers so you guys can get an understanding of who's going to go over or under their win total. Guerra, we just gave out a great piece of information about the referees for tonight's game. Really heavily favors the Boston Celtics. Obviously, the Celtics have not been a good team at home over the last two postseasons. So for a number of reasons, I still like the Heat to cover tonight. But that said, really, really excited about what we're going to see tonight. A Game 7 in the NBA with history on the line. This is not like any other Game 7 we've ever seen in the NBA. Tonight, history is on the line. Either the Boston Celtics will become the first team in NBA history to come back from an 0-3 deficit, or the Miami Heat will cement their status as the shocker, the upset, one of the greatest underdogs in NBA playoff history. I believe they're an 8 seed because they lost in that play-in round game to the Atlanta Hawks. So it would be, I believe, the first time an 8 seed would actually make the NBA Finals. History either way will be made tonight at the Boston Garden. And by the way, that building is going to be rocking. Like, everybody talks about the old Boston Garden in the days of Bird and Magic and McHale going up against the Lakers. Obviously, that's why I say Magic. And those great battles where there was no AC and Red Auerbach and the showers were hot and all that. Tonight, I feel like it is a throwback environment. Boston is going to be on fire. I expect that city is going to be rocking. That building's going to be rocking. Should be an unbelievable environment. I am so excited to settle in. So, going to be a great game. We have a ton of picks to give out. So, for all of those who are wondering how we are playing these games,